YB stays on your neck.
Yo, my dons, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. Well. As you can see on your screen now, and as per the title, the WBC are doing some A1 level backtracking. This is the kind of backtracking that reminds me of like Deontay Wilder versus Ortiz in round 7. You know ones there where you get clipped and Wilder's just falling backwards, stumbling, or even Fury, Wilder versus Fury, where Fury's backing him up. This is the kind of backtracking and backstepping and fumbling that WBC are doing now, because let's get it straight. When this whole business kicked off, when the D-Bowl debacle kicked off damn near a month ago, there was no talk about, oh, we're not doing this, well, it's not Dillian, it's not the belts, the interim, it's the belts. There was none of that. It was Dillian Whyte suspended until further notice. And based on that, I actually made a video which was prejudiced against Dillian Whyte, because from where I was sitting, bottom line is WBC, whilst they're corrupt, whilst they're biased in body, they're supposed to be insiders. So let's get it straight as well, the WBC didn't come out the day of the release, like they didn't come out on the 22nd of July. They came out about a week after this story dropped. They came out a week after and said, oh yeah, I remember their statement was the most lengthy and most revealing of anyone's. Based on Dillian Whyte having an adverse, we can confirm Dillian Whyte had an adverse finding. We're going to suspend him until our investigations are over. That's what they said, word for word. More or less paraphrasing and that. Word for word paraphrasing. That's quoted. That there is word for word paraphrased quote. No doubt. That's what they were saying. Dillian Whyte striked off until our investigations finished. And from where I was sitting, bearing in mind, they were the insiders. They were the ones who were saying, we've requested information from UCAD, we've requested information from BBBOC, and on the basis of that, we've suspended Dillian Whyte. I'm sitting here thinking, you know what, it don't look good, because with that same level of information, they could have choose to be neutral, because you can have investigations carrying on. You don't need to suspend someone. Regardless of whatever it is, you can have an investigation, and that's when you start suspending people. That's what don't make sense to me. They jumped the gun. It's mad. You know what's crazy about it? Look at Jerome Miller. Jerome Miller popped. Absolutely, there's no mysterious or conspiratorialness about it. Jerome Miller popped for everything under the sun, and only the WBA stepped up. No one else did. Dillian Whyte is shrouded in all this mystery, and the WBC came out a week after and bang, suspended the man. It's madness. But anyway, as I was saying, they came out categorically and said he's suspended until we've conducted our investigations. And now they're pulling that Wilder round 7, Wilder Ortiz round 7, doctor coming in all sorts, trying to patch it up. This WBC cats, the reason they're doing this, it's no by chance, because think about it. If you make a mistake, if you get like, if the statement you've put out has been perceived wrong, guess what? The WBC could have come out 2 days after, a day after, even a week after they put their statement out and just cleared things up. The fact it's taken them 3 weeks since they put their statement out, that tells me that this is potentially very good for Dillian Whyte. Because in the last 3 weeks, we know 3 weeks ago the WBC were conducting their investigations. So you're trying to tell me it's pure coincidence that 3 weeks later, after they've conducted all these investigations, now suddenly they're trying to quantify and reel in what they were saying before. Oh no, we haven't suspended Dillian, he can still fight. It's just the end, all this sort of business. They're backpedaling hard, trying to get, because they know that, listen, we know Dillian Dream Team Whyte legal team is absolutely bruising. Boxing Social had to pull their video down. BT Sport had to pull their video down. They're completely ruthless. And Maurizio Sulaiman is already walking on a tightrope when it comes to Dillian Whyte after that whole 600 days business. After all this madness that's been going on. Yeah, Hearn, Dillian Whyte have got Fabrizio, whatever his damn name is, that Italian Don. They've got him walking a damn tightrope, and that's why he's trying to make out what he said. He didn't say it, but unfortunately, it's all being recorded. So your guts forgot on this one. If Dillian Whyte comes out clean, you're the one who's. It not being funny. I said myself, how detailed the WBC statement was. It actually, that there, as I keep mentioning, that there was evidence against Dillian. And now all of a sudden they want to clear up 4 weeks later. The damage has been done, buddy. You better get your checkbook out, 100%. However, whilst this backtracking, whilst this Wilder Ortiz round 7 backtracking looks pretty positive for Dillian Whyte, because let's get it straight. One thing we do know is, what do we know? If after 3 weeks of investigations, Fabrizio or anyone in the WBC if there was even a sniff that it was going to go the other way, do you think he'd be changing his statement? Do you think, in fact, forget changing his statement in a positive light towards Dillian, 3 weeks later we'd be hearing about Dillian Whyte struck off for 4 years by the WBC. That's what we would be hearing. So this is, for me, is very positive after 3 weeks of investigations being carried out. However, you have to read a bit more deeply into what this paid goon had to say, because in a way, whilst broadly it could appear positive, in reality it just don't look good to me. Not from a Dillian Whyte D-ball situation. I'm talking about a Dillian Whyte getting the fight against Beyonce. It don't look good at all. And let's read what this goon had to say. He said, "I would like to elaborate with as much clarity as possible." Oh, now you want to come out with a clarity. You weren't worried about clarity before. The YB's dying. Yeah, listen, you man didn't want to worry about clarity before. Now all of a sudden, listen, Dillian Whyte has got OJ Simpson's dream team defense out here. Johnny Cochran, they've dug Johnny Cochran up from 20 years ago. Dug him up out the ground, and he's defending Dillian Whyte. 100% fact, confirmed, no doubt. And that's why this man's talking about, all of a sudden he wants to worry about elaborating and wants to worry about clarity. Anyway, let's carry on. However, this is a very complex situation because of the legality. Oh wow, I didn't even know he said that, it's the first time I've read this. So he's even admitting it. He's even admitting that Dillian Whyte's dream team have been knocking on his door, ready to take him for everything he's worth. Everything is being handled now in the legal aspect, so I'm going to give you a brief summary. The WBC officially sanctioned a bout for the WBC interim and mandatory position. The fight took place a few days later. It was reported that there was an adverse finding. The WBC had absolutely no knowledge prior to the fight taking place. What we have done, we have contacted the different parties of interest, which is BBBOC, Dillian Whyte and his representatives, and everything has been led to go through UCAT. Continuing on why the body snatcher remains at number 1 in the August rankings, Suleiman added, "At this moment I want to clarify that the WBC did not suspend Dillian Whyte." So that there bodes well. They've basically backed up everything I've been explaining earlier in this video. However, this next part is what's worrying. Whilst the WBC didn't suspend Dillian, the WBC has suspended the situation regarding the interim championship and mandatory status of the division. Dillian Whyte was not suspended. Dillian Whyte has the right to go through a process which is regarding the adverse finding. Now, this is what weird for me. On what basis? So, okay, for me it's either one or the other. Either Dillian Whyte suspended and his mandatory is suspended. You can't have it both ways. And this, for me, literally, this is proof from where I'm sitting of corruption. Because what they've done, they haven't got squat to go on from where I'm sitting. They're insiders. They know this stuff. They've been talking to BBBOC. They've been talking to UCAT. They don't have enough to ban Dillian, otherwise they'd come out and do it. We know that. We know they're clutching at straws here as it is. But the only thing the WBC can do, because they own the belts, they can't suspend Dillian, because they don't own Dillian. They own their belts, though. They're a private organisation at the end of the day, I believe. So the only thing they can control, they can't stop Dillian Whyte boxing. They can stop him from fighting for their belt, and that's what they've done here. But my question is, if you got enough to suspend the interim challenge, if you got enough to suspend the mandatory, why haven't you got enough to suspend Dillian? How can you have it both ways? Oh well, he's not banned, but he can't fight for our belts. Now what you mean to say is, Suleiman, come out and call a spade, be honest. Come out and say, Dillian Whyte, he can fight, he just can't fight Wilder. He can fight, we just don't dare
let him get in there and completely level chicken legs. That's what I'm reading between the lines here. And if I'm wrong, someone explain to me the inconsistency here, because I don't get it. I really don't. And it's funny, why is it? Maybe it's pure coincidence, maybe the YB's a pure conspiracy theorist, but why is it every time, every action that happens, it's never to stop Dillian Whyte boxing, because what do we know? They love the Dillian Whyte money coming in. Dillian Whyte's events are bringing in more revenue than Wild events, multiples over. So they don't mind that. That's why Suleiman's clear here to point out, oh yeah, don't worry, Dillian Whyte's not banned. He can fight all he wants. He can keep bringing in our biggest ticket seller, our biggest cash generator, no problem. The only thing we're stopping you from doing is getting into sweet Beyonce's arse. Simple. And if it's not that, you tell me what is he saying then? Why is it every time? Alright, there's 600 days. For the 600 days, they didn't stop Dillian Whyte fighting. They didn't stop him fighting. They stopped him fighting Wilder. Why is it now? Oh, they haven't banned Dillian. They haven't stopped Dillian fighting, but they've stopped him fighting Wilder. What is that? Pure coincidence? I'm sorry, I don't think it is. They had no problem. Oscar Evans got in there, no problem. Everyone else has been able to get in there, no problem, but only when it comes to Wilder, every time there's something wrong. But he can still fight. Madness. If you've got enough issue that he listen, the bottom line is, either you have enough to stop Dillian Whyte fighting at all for the WBC, or you don't, and he fights Wilder. Yeah? It's one or the other. Either Dillian Whyte is not fighting for your organisation at all, or he is, and he's fighting Wilder. There's none of this business going forward, oh well, yeah, he can fight for the WBC, he just can't fight Wilder. Why is Wilder so scared? But I've said it, I'm the one who's actually brought it to the YouTube world. No one actually explained it. I've told you before. Young, hungry, and a bit of power. That's it. That's what turns Wilder off. He likes old men who can't punch. Fury, Ortiz, Brazil. Wow, Brazil. Bumane. No, you know what I'm trying to say. Anyone who's got a bit of power and a bit of youth and a bit of hunger, he don't want to know about it. He don't. That's why he didn't want to fight AJ. That's why he didn't want to fight Dillian. And it's a shame, really, that the heavyweight divisions, it is not very deep. You've got probably 3 athletes in the whole lot of it. In reality, you've got AJ Wilder and Dillian Whyte. That's it. Before, there was a depth of everyone was an athlete, even Dillian Whyte to an extent. He needs to, in my opinion, what do I know? Maybe I'm a casual. In my opinion, Dillian Whyte needs to trim up. He don't need to be coming in 260. Dillian Whyte almost looks like a strong man, where he's so soft. Not that being, you don't need to have ultra low body fat, but come on, have a bit of shape on you. Like Holyfield was pretty ripped, but them ones there, even Ali wasn't the most genetically gifted, but he was toned in his prime. That's what I think of. Anyway, I've gone on a rant there, but listen, this for me is just exposed, as I keep mentioning, this for me is exposed that Dillian Whyte ain't getting this shot unless he comes back squeaky, absolutely clean. This is what's imperative for Dillian. If Dillian's to get deep in Wilder's arse, yeah, he's got to be absolutely clean. Because from where I'm sitting, the fact there's been no conclusion. He even states in this stuff here that the investigation's going on. And what does he say here? Wait there. Where was it? Oh, either way, read it. You can read it yourself. But oh yeah, here it is. Dillian Whyte has the right to go through a process, which is regarding the adverse finding. So they've already identified they're still going through a process. The fact they're still going through a process and there's been no final result or no final opinion. The fact they're still in the process and they've decided to suspend his interim challenge, that's worrying for me. That tells me that he's now got to earn that back. Does that make sense? He's now got to almost completely even if he's cleared by everyone, if there's anything outstanding, the WBC can say, well, I'm sorry, but that's not enough to reinstate you. Does that make sense? Like, normally, it's a given. If you're a mandatory challenger, you're a mandatory challenger. If you're interim, you're interim. But the fact they've taken that away, he now has to go over the burden of proof. He has to now earn that back. So that for me is going to be something like this. Let's say it ends up being I'm just purely speculating. Let's say Dillian Whyte had some sort of, I don't know, some sort of pulsing effect like John Jones did, and the UKAD and BBBOC clear him. The WBC can say, well, unfortunately, we suspended your claim and the pulsing effect based on, because you've got to remember, VADA are WBC's body. So the WBC could try to find a loophole there, and we know VADA in general are more on it. And I know people are saying, well, he passed the VADA test. No, he didn't really, because they didn't have tests on the same day. The VADA test was probably 2 weeks apart, so it don't really count. The fact you passed VADA don't make a difference. And besides, I don't even know what's going on anyway. But from where I'm saying, I'd like to be able to report good news, and to an extent, in the first half of this video, it was good news. But talking about the politics of the situation, and how much Wilder don't want it, and how much Sullivan don't want it, it's not looking good from where I'm sitting. But I'll be intrigued to see what you guys think.